Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, inspiration, and hope. I'm Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck, and our show today is the Planet Earth Show, and our topic is the healing power of forests. To guide us through this is the star of our show, Mr. Roland-Friedl. He is an entrepreneur. He is someone who is all over the place in Europe, helping people day by day. He has an extensive amount of experience as a serial entrepreneur, and he really cares about people. He leads his life with his heart. Let's welcome him to the show. Hello, Roland.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Great to see you. Hey, you look amazing, like always, Dr. Jacalyn.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I have the yoga glow, I think, since I just taught yoga, but you look very tan. Have you been out in the sun?
Yeah, I'm working most of the time out of the sun, yeah.
Oh, that's so lovely. Tell us where in the world you are right now.
Actually, I'm in the south of Italy on an island on Sicily, in the south of Sicily. I spent the winter here, working from here, because it's much warmer than in my home country, Austria. So, yeah, I'm in Italy. The dolce far niente, you know, the sweet life, the good food.
Well, it's really so amazing that you're always able to fit us in. Thank you so much. I know sometimes technology and connection can be an issue, but you always make it happen. So thank you for that.
You're more than welcome. Yeah, I try my best. You know, sometimes it's a little bit challenging, but you know, when the why is strong enough, the what and the how shouldn't be an issue. There's always a solution.
That's so true. So true. So I'm very interested in this topic because depending on how you grew up and maybe what fairy tales you were read or that you were taught in school, you might think the forest is a scary place. There's all kinds of things going on there. It's dark. There's animals. There's all kinds of sounds. But our topic today is the healing power of forests. So what can you tell us, first of all, about your experience in being in a forest?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, no, forests always have been part in fairy tales. It's a place of myths and miracles and stuff going on. Yeah, absolutely. And some people are a little bit scared because of the fairy tales from their childhood. My experience is, you know, I love the seaside. I love to be on beaches in the warm, but I also enjoyed when I'm in the north, in the countries in the north here in Europe, I also enjoyed spending many hours a day in a forest because there's so many healing aspects of forest. I just love, actually in general, I love to be out in nature. But the forests are very healing. I feel very calm, very comfortable. And for the show, I did some research and I found the reason why I feel so comfortable and why it has a healing effect. So I highly recommend spending as much time in a forest as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you. So how would you describe to someone who's never been in a forest, they live in a place where they're kind of like, oh, what is a forest? And maybe they're listening on an audio platform and they can't really even envision. How would you describe it in words?
Oh, other people that never been in a forest. Yeah, maybe when you live in a desert. The North Pole. Well, a forest is a large area with a lot of trees, many plants, different animals. It's a huge biotop with many different plants. Yeah, high trees, different animals, depending on the area. It's more north from more south. It's different trees, it's different grasses, different bushes, different mushrooms, different berries that they grow there. So a forest is a huge area, a natural area. Mostly it's a natural area where humans, maybe they cut down a little some sick forests, but most of the time, especially when you have a very origin forest. We have a few here in Europe, for example, in Romania and Poland, where they don't cut anything down. So when a tree falls down, it falls down. It's like a jungle, yeah. And it's the best environment to make walks and recover.
Thank you for that. So would you say that a forest is a home? It's a home to many creatures, big and small, and they were there before us. And I know from other shows that we've had about planet Earth that sometimes the human comes in and decides to just blast through the forest, dragging whatever equipment for whatever project. But when that's not happening, there's a lot of healing that can take place. So how would you describe maybe an opportunity that you had in the past where you were healed by the forest, or you knew of someone who was?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just come back before I start on that. Is you mentioned, yeah, it's the home of many creatures, insects, birds, animals, and actually in many areas in the world, it was also the home of us, of human beings. And we still have people in South Asia, for example, who live in the jungle, in the forest, or in the Amazon area, you know, in Paraguay, in parts of Brazil and something like that. There are still people living in forests, because the forest it's not only healing you, we talk about this in a while, but it's protecting you. It's also giving you a lot of food, you know, berries, plants, animals. So the forest is an amazing resource to live there, because you get food, you get wood, you get firewood, you get wood to build a home and stuff like that, shelter. So the forest is the best place and the safest place to live. Much better than, I would say, than the Arctica, the North Pole, the ice, or the forest. So it's a good place, absolutely. So my own experience is in forest. You know, I grew up in a city, but I lived in the suburb of a city with my parents, and there was a huge forest, a park there. Actually, it was a national. It was protected because for the city, there is a lot of underground. There's a lot of water, so that's the water resource for the city. So it was protected. Almost no cars and stuff like that, no buildings, stuff like that. So I spent always, as a kid, always there playing with my friends there. You know, but I become 60 this year, so we had no computer, we had no games to play or stuff like that. So as a kid, I've always been out in nature and playing, even though I was living in the city. But I had the fortune to live in the south part where there was a huge forest. So I always feel very comfortable. You asked me about healing. Well, I wasn't aware why I'm so healthy. You know, I mean, of course, I eat quite healthy. I don't smoke anymore. I did in the past. I almost don't drink alcohol. I exercise, stuff like that. Yeah, but I spend a lot of time in nature. And so I did some research about a forest. You know, in summer, I spend a lot of time in the north in a forest. And I was always wondering, I feel different. I cannot explain. I feel different. And that's why I started researching about, the healing code of a forest. And I know from many friends of mine who have been very successful in business, but actually ended up in a burnout. And, you know, sometimes doctors recommend pharmaceuticals, but there are few doctors that say, no, don't take pharmaceuticals. Walk in a forest, go in a forest, make long walks in the forest. This is absolutely healing. So in Austria, some medical doctors and clinics absolutely recommend long walks in the forest to heal your burnout. I will come later a little bit what is healing you and why it's healing you and what's going better when you spend time in the forest. Yeah, absolutely. It can heal you.
That's amazing. So for somebody who hasn't walked through a forest and think, you know what, this is a great idea, anything you need to know from a safety perspective?
Well, actually, two things. I would never go in a forest when there's a huge thunderstorm, because sometimes old trees break down. They can fall on you. That's not a good choice. And depending on the creatures, I mean, well, I live in Europe. We have in the forest, we have bears, bears. So bears. We have wolves. Wolves are very shy, so I know there's a lot of fairy tales and stuff like going on. We have many discussions here on mainstream media in Europe because the wolf is coming back. More and more wolves we have in Spain, in France, in Italy, in Austria, in Germany, in Poland, in Romania. Many countries. I saw them, a few of them, but they're very shy. So don't be afraid about the creatures. You know, the bears, they walk away. The wolves are very shy. We have smaller than the wolf. I don't know, the coyote. Do you say coyotes?
Coyote.
The coyotes, they're very shy. Foxes also, as long they have they're not sick, they're very shy too. So actually, don't be afraid of the wild creatures. Nothing is going to happen. The only thing that you have to really take care is when there are deers and there's a season. In every area is different, where they, I don't know, sorry for my English. You know, when they produce kids, I don't know how you call this. When they're hot, they are very aggressive and they're gonna kill you. So deers are very aggressive when they're in the hot time, in the hot season, when they produce kids. So this is dangerous. But yeah, actually no. The only thing that can happen is when you go in a huge forest, never been there, maybe it's difficult to find out again, stuff like that. Maybe if you're not familiar with some plants, with berries, fruits, in general, mushrooms, maybe don't start eating it immediately because some can be very poisonous, very toxic. But after all, no, there's absolutely no risk to be there. And I'm 16 almost now. I never happened anything to me. Sometimes I had meetings, I visited with wolves and bears, but they have been more afraid of me. Maybe when I look like we are, I don't know. They've been more afraid of me than I was afraid of them.
Good points there. Thank you so much. And I'm also wondering, aren't there certain plants that have healing capabilities? And aren't there certain mushrooms? And I know there's some kind of, I forget what it's called, some potion, some compound that people put together that you gather things from the forest and you go on some type of experience.
Well, yeah, I'm not an expert. Especially, I know plants from my home country because my grandma, she when I was a small boy, we always went in the forest, collecting blueberries and mushrooms and stuff like that. And she teach me which to touch and which not to touch. But I don't know all the plants to be in the whole world because this is not my this is not my expertise. I'm from a business aspect. But I know that some mushrooms I absolutely don't touch. I know that there are some mushrooms, I don't know how to call them, this red ones with the white points. And they all told you they're toxic, you can die. I found out that this is a fairy tale. It's absolutely not true. I love these mushrooms, to be honest, because you get an absolutely fantastic experience on that for a few days. When you know how to treat, when you know how to handle them. But there are plants that are toxic. Yeah. So, but you know, there are a lot of books out there. I mean, now with our technology, I know that friends of mine are using apps, and you use your mobile phone, you just scan the mushroom or the plant, and then the app tells you you can eat it or not, what it is. It's easy, you know. But again, I wouldn't touch something I don't know. So use an app or something, or a book or something, and look if you can eat it or not, or touch it or not. Yeah.
Fantastic. And if somebody wants to, let's say, take a retreat or create a retreat in the forest, do you know typically, I mean, obviously around the world it's going to depend, but does a person typically need some kind of permit or permission to do this?
Wow, it's depending from country to country. I know in Sweden, wild camping is allowed to everyone everywhere. It's depending on the countries. I know in Austria it's no problem to take a tent and go in the forest. I occasionally, friends of mine do it. Actually, in July I'm on a 4-day men's retreat, which is 100% outdoor. So we sleep outside and stuff like that. Yes, actually it's possible here in Europe, for example. I don't know in the US, but here in Europe it's possible. The only thing that is forbidden in summertime, when it's quite hot and it's dry, to make a fire. Yeah, that's the only thing you have to take care about. When it's hot and everything is dry, don't make a fireplace because this is very, very, very dangerous. But normally it's not a problem to stay over, and I love it. And yeah, take a tent or just a sleeping bag and go to it. It's not an issue. Here in Europe, it's not a problem at all. And I think in America too, and many, 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 many years ago when I was in Yellowstone Park and some national parks, especially on the West Coast, it was, I don't know, well, it's 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was possible. I don't know how it is now. It is still allowed not, or you'd have to go to a lodge or something. You have to ask the permission. I don't know.
No, that's helpful. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I know that there are different types of forests. Obviously, there's a rainforest, right, which people have heard of. And I know from what I've read that a lot of the rainforests, actually, I just saw this on a television program. This one rainforest was completely flooded out by humans on purpose. I'm not really sure what the reason was, but what are some other types of forests, or how's a forest determined? Is it by the types of trees?
Well, the different kinds of forests, a forest in Asia is different than a forest in South America, and especially in the Amazon is different than a forest when you go down in Fireland in South Argentina, or a forest in North America or in Europe. There's different forests. The forest is just a huge spot with a lot of creatures, a lot of plants. That's what we call a forest, or a jungle, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but there are different types. Yeah, depending on the climate zone. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, something else that I also think about forests when I picture it in my mind, I'm not sure if this is even correct, is very dark. I mean, a lot of trees that are hanging over. And so it's almost like there's this protection. It's like you're protected, but at the same time, there might not be a lot of sunlight. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love the forests in summer. I've been living on this beautiful island for 14 years, but in summer I was escaping, and I went north to my home country and was hiking in forest because it's much cooler and much better. Yeah. That's the advantage of forests, especially in a hot season. Especially in North America or North Europe, you go in a forest, it's cooling. It's really cooling. When you go in a forest in the jungle in South Asia or in South America, then you're still sweating because humidity is very high there. Yeah, when you go south of the Ecuador, yes, on the other side of the globe in the south, there in the jungle, the forest, you have amazing humidity. There's very, very high. You start sweating immediately. But the forest is darker. That's true. There's less sunlight. There are a few spots where sun is coming in. But as I said, in the northern hemisphere, in Europe, and in North America in summer, it's a cool place to stay, especially when you can take heat.
Fantastic. Thank you, Roland. So let's go back to healing power. And I just was having a conversation with someone about this. You and I have done many programs about pharmaceuticals, about the power of healing, about the power of a healthy lifestyle. For someone who is looking to focus on longevity and living a healthy lifestyle, taking a walk through nature can be a nice addition, can it?
Not only a nice addition, it's a very healthy one. we talked about prevention. It's a very, 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 very healthy one. And actually, let's start with one. There was a study done in Canada, actually in Toronto, and they did a research with it was 30,000 people in this study, 30,000. So it's quite a huge amount of people, and 500,000 trees. So they have been searching the health status of 30,000 people in a part of Toronto, and they had did research on 500,000 tree, what chemicals, what phytochemicals in the tree. And the interesting thing was, the more trees are growing in a quarter, in an area, even in the city, the healthier people are. The more trees there are, the healthier people are. Actually, it's cool in summer. It's less hot. They're producing more oxygen, so plants need CO2. How do you say it? Carbon dioxide, CO2. We have all this issue that I don't know with this crazy green ones telling us UV is very bad and we have all the shit in the goes. It's not true. We need it because plants need it to produce oxygen. So what they found out in Canada and Toronto in the study, 30,000 people, so it's really a huge group in the study, is the more trees around them are, the healthier up, meaning that they had less cardiovascular issues, diabetes was going down, and even cancer. So in these areas where people have more trees around them, cancer was lower, cancer rate was lower, heart issues were lower, and diabetes was much lower. This is a study done in Canada. And actually, it's not new. I know that at the beginning of the 19th century, so almost 200 years ago, scientists found out that people who spend more time in forests have a decrease of lung issues, especially, in the 19th century. One of the issues there was tuberculosis, and they sent people in forests. And for example, in Austria, we call it open air spas, meaning these are small villages in the countryside, far away from large cities, far away from industry, far away from pollution, with a lot of huge forests around. And people go there, book a hotel, get medical advice, and just make walk in forests, and just to heal, or at least to decrease the suffering of the tuberculosis. So, and the reason for that is that the different trees in forests have aroma, and they have microorganisms. So not only the trees, but also the mushrooms that support our system. I can go a little bit deeper in that if you want. So there are a lot of studies. There's one study, for example, done in Japan. In Japan, there is, Japan has is a state on different islands. Japan has there are main islands or smaller ones, like in Hawaii, the bigger ones and smaller ones. And there is an island called Shinrin-yoku. Shinrin-yoku is one of the islands, and there's a tradition that is called taking a forest bath. So, meaning taking a forest bath is walking in the forest. And also on some university in Japan, they're teaching forest medicine, and they also have established forest therapy centers. And what they do is that they bring people from the large cities of Shinrin-yoku, who, as I said in the beginning, who suffer from burnout, and they do long walks. And there's a very famous Japanese immunologist, a medical doctor, natural one. His name is Schilling, and he did a lot of research for many years about forests and health. And he was writing a book about this. And he says, okay, when you walk, it means 2 hours, okay? At least 2 hours. When you walk 2 hours at least in a forest, you just walk or sit in the forest. You can go in the middle of the forest and just sit down. It's not about walking, but being 2 hours, being in the forest, your blood pressure goes down, your blood sugar goes down, and your immune system is boosting up. You can focus more, you can concentrate more, and also your memory is much better. And what is interesting is, after 48 hours, when you spend 2 days in a row in a forest, the amount of your killer cells is double, so it's increased by 100%. And everybody knows killer cells are very, very important for our to protect our immune system, because they're killing all the viruses, all the negative stuff. And we know that they also help us against allergies and different other things. So spending 2 days in the forest in a row, 100% more killer cells. This is quite amazing. Without any pharmaceuticals. Can you imagine, Dr. Jacalyn?
It's incredible. And there's a lot of research out there about forest bathing and all the positive impacts that you mentioned, cardiovascular, immune system. And something else that I read was that forests are endangered in many places due to humans and logging, I guess, and pollution and forest fires. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that I've seen as an offshoot to this that many corporations, many cities, counties are building something called green spaces. Can you tell us anything about green spaces?
Well, green spaces in the city is, I wouldn't say good, it's a nice approach, better than nothing. better than nothing. But it's more or less artificial because they just grow some trees and some bushes, and it's not the same like wild nature. But it's better than nothing. I mean, we know that, for example, in the city I've been living for a long time in Vienna, they are growing more and more trees. People are a little bit fed up because instead of parking spaces, it's getting more and more difficult in Vienna to find a parking space for where you park your car, because they're growing more trees and trees and trees. I mean, it's changing, especially in summer. As I said in earlier, trees help you to cool down, especially the hot streets when you have all this asphalt and these houses, and the sun is coming down hot, standing high in summer. The sun is reflecting. It's the floor, the ground is very, very hot. It's so it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So when you grow a lot of trees, of course, it's cooler. It's absolutely good. It's absolutely good for cities. But again, the best is wild nature. It's good when they're planting more trees. The more, the better. No doubt. But I would love if they burn less trees down and less forests down in nature, like in the Amazon. All these huge companies. I mean, we always hear it because of the climate. It's warmer and warmer. That's why we have so many fires, forest fires. That's an absolutely fucking lie. That's not true. We don't have more than that. We don't have more than the years before. It's coming up in mainstream media. I've been living in Mallorca for 14 years. We have 100 fires every year. The reason for that is because it's hot, it's dry. People are smoking, driving the car, skipping out the cigarette, from the car, or they do barbecue or stuff like that. They don't take care, or they just burn the ground because they want to use it for their cattle or whatever. So we have a lot of forest fire worldwide. That's true, but the reason is not the climate change. It's not the weather. That's absolutely not true. It's because people just burn it down by accident, as I said, skipping away a cigarette or doing barbecuing, or they just burn it down because they need place for the cattle, or they need space for, I don't know, grow soya beans or whatever. Yeah, we have more and more fires, but it's all human done, and it's not the climate. That's absolutely fucking not true.
Thanks, Roland. I love your passion as always about everything. A question I have that I've seen more and more is you see these giant power lines, these power stations that are all over the place. And I would think at some point, where we have homes, there probably was nature. There probably was a forest or a desert or something. Creatures were living there, and then they're forced out because we're moving in. And down where I'm in South Florida, they're constantly building up. You can't even see the beach unless you go to a certain place. There's so many buildings, you can't even get there. So what's being done, to your knowledge, if anything, to help protect the forests?
Well, I mean, we have people try, local communities try, of course, to protect the forest. I know the indigenous, they do it in South America. Friends of mine are living there, but they get killed and killed and killed. So many people get killed because there's a lot of power, a lot of money behind that to burn down the forest, because, as I said, they need the land for their cattle, more meat or soya beans or whatever, stuff like that. But there are many local communities who try to protect the forest because they know how healing it is. Especially, people who are living in a forest or living in the countryside. They know the value of a forest. I mean, when you live in a city, maybe you don't take care because you don't have the experience how nice it is and how wonderful and how healing it is to walk or just sit in the forest. But there are a lot of stuff, especially here in Austria, and in other parts of Europe, there's a lot of protest against, these wind parks, these huge wind parks, because they cut down a lot of forests just to install these huge turbines, just to make it possible to transport all the stuff. So long, wide roads, for these huge trucks, so they destroy a lot of forests. So people stand up and said, this doesn't make sense to build up these wind parks. Actually, we had a show about this a few months ago. There's one thing. There's also a lot of protests against huge solar parks. We have huge solar parks in Germany, somewhere that the Greenfield, this is so good, but they're cutting down all the forests for that. it's ridiculous. I mean, if you really want to protect the earth and protect the human beings, why cutting down the forest? Doesn't make any sense for me. But there's a lot of more and more protests going on, and people are taking care. Yes, it is, but it's a minority, to be honest.
That's good to know. Yeah, thank you. So I'm really interested because I wasn't aware of this whole forest bathing and the fact that it was so healing, and the fact that you have now alleviated any fears or concerns I've had about being eaten alive by something. So, question I have, and this might sound ridiculous, but depending on where you are in the world, if you decide you're going to travel somewhere, you're going to spend time in forests, do you have to get any type of physical, or it determines that you are not going to bring anything into the forest that might hurt the creatures living there? Instead of us thinking about, oh, what are we going to get? What can we give that could be detrimental?
The point is, no matter if you go to walk to the beach or the forest, is when you go there to have a picnic, please take all your garbage with you. Don't feed the animals with bread and all this, this toxic so-called food you buy in the supermarket. Please don't do it, because it's harming them. So please don't feed wild animals with your stuff, and please take your garbage with all your rubbish with you. Please don't leave it there. Please bring it back and do it in a tray. That's one thing. And yeah, and again, spend much time. I just repeat it. If you spend a whole day in a forest, your killer cells increase on 40%. 2 days is 100%. So especially as a prevention, of course, but also when you're really, I'm not a medical doctor, but I know it from many studies, and another thing is when you have a burnout, you can always go on pharmaceuticals. I'm not a fan of it. I don't trust this thing at all. Walk in the forest. I know I was reading an article about more and more doctors also in the US recommend long walks in forest when you have a burnout. When you have cancer, aggressive tumor cells. One of my best friends, she's a healer. She's been a healer in more than 20 years, and she had a huge aggressive tumor. She healed herself with long walks in forest, changing the diet, drinking water, no pharmaceuticals, no operation, no, how to call this crazy toxic stuff, chemotherapy. This stuff is all killing you. Yeah, it's all killing you. Now, go in the forest and heal yourself. Now, again, I'm not a medical doctor. That's what I do. That's what my friends do. That's what my family does. And look at me. I'm healthy. I'm 60 almost. I'm healthy because we trust in nature. Because nature is here long before we have been, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years before any pharmaceutical company came here for marketing reasons. Sorry, this is like it is.
No. I appreciate what you're saying. I think it's all really important, because in a society where we're so much about, oh, let me take a pill, let me just do whatever it is. I'll give an example. I woke up and I have this. It looks like eczema. I've had it for a week or so, and I do have medication that I could inject that will get rid of it in about 2 weeks. And I said, I'm not doing that anymore. Actually, I'm going to find out, what am I eating or doing that's causing that. And, for someone who cares about their appearance, that's not always the easiest thing to do, because that if you do this, it's going to be gone. But I thought, I can just live with it. I'm going to try removing things from my life and see if that makes a difference. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm the same, I'm the same. And sometimes people need pharmaceutical for some reason, yeah. But I personally don't take them at all, or not at all. I can heal myself. I know how to heal my body. I know what my body needs to heal, to recover. But I know, some people are such busy. They want to perform. They're chasing money like crazy. Nothing against money. I love material things too, no doubt on that. But most people forget to look at themselves. And the point is, if you don't have you don't have a healthy body, a healthy and fit body, then you cannot perform at your best level. Then you cannot enjoy life at the fullest. Then you cannot, whatever you want to do. So I highly recommend it. Stay healthy and fit. And again, it's nothing to do, I always say, it's nothing to do with ascetic lifestyle. Not at all. I enjoy life at the fullest. I'm a happy person. I have a lot of fun. I go on parties. Occasionally I drink a glass of wine. Actually, yesterday, oh my God, I found an amazing small a cafe on the beach with ice cream. They produce it only on Saturday, and it's Saturday and Sunday. When it's sold out, it's sold out. So I had an ice cream, a huge one to be honest, because the Italian ice cream is just fantastic with real pure ingredients, nothing artificial. Of course I enjoyed it. So there was sugar in. Yeah, it was cool, but I do it occasionally or whatever. So I really, it's up to you guys. But if you want to live as long as it's healthy and perform, have a joyful life, take care about yourself, because at the end you give away your health for making money, and then at the end you want to give away all your money to have a little better health. This is ridiculous. I mean, I also doing a career on the next show. I will talk about my next career starting with 60 now. You can always make money and business, but first take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. There's only one health, but thousands of sicknesses, and there are millions of opportunities to make money, but there's only one health. So this is the most important thing. You have to take care, and then you can go for anything else.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the next show. And I also think a good episode for our next program, It's Your Healthy Lifestyle, would be these fitness apps. How accurate are they, especially the ones that are measuring your mood and your stress level? So let's have a talk about that as well.
I want to recommend something. If you're interested in the healing code of the forest, there are many books outside. It's called biophilia. And maybe Dr. Jacalyn, we can do it on the recording of, because this is live now, but on the recording on YouTube, maybe we can do some links on books. There are some amazing books out there. Actually, a friend, a person I know very well, he's an Austrian author. Actually, he passed away a year ago. That's the reason why I did a German podcast to keep in memoriam of him last Sunday in German. And he was an expert on the healing code of forests. And one of his books is also available in English. And I highly recommend this book. It was a game changer for me many years ago when I wrote this book about the healing code of the forest, and I understood why I'm healthy, and I understood why I love to be in a forest. So maybe we can recommend some books in the description.
Absolutely. I love that. Roland, we have your contact information up for people who are listening on an audio platform only. And for people out there who really want to connect with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the best way to connect with me is send me an email. That's the best way. It's my email address is office@, and then it's my name, roland-friedl.com. I will spell it for you. It's rolandfriedl.com. office@roland-friedl.com. That's the best way to get in contact with me. And as I always say, I love to caring and sharing is all about a networking. Yeah, bringing people together, like-minded people together, learn from each other, support each other to make this world a better place. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. Another fabulous episode. I really appreciate it. And we're coming back momentarily with our next show where you're going to talk about your new career. So thank you for doing that. I'll see you shortly.
Yeah, but no, don't talk about my career. It's about for all people who get older and want to start a new career. And yeah. It's never too late to start a new career. That's the point.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye, and bye to our audience. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being with us. We are going to turn over to our sponsors now. We greatly appreciate them. And we appreciate you for watching, whether it's on the live or the replay. It's all good. Thank you again for being here. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting The Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, mastering professional etiquette and communication excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, elegance and eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, mastery in dining etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.
Thank you.